Welcome to Reykjavik, Iceland. Today we're going to check out the Museum of Photography here in Reykjavik. And we're going to check out an exhibit by a photographer called Sigurhans Vignis. So he was a very prevalent photographer here in Reykjavik from 1917 to 1965. And so many of his photography is revolved around like how Reykjavik, well, the history of Reykjavik and some history of Iceland. So this museum is a part of the city museums of Reykjavik, so you can buy a city card and then you can just visit them all: the Marine Museum, the Settlement Museum, the Open Air Museum, and go to Beaty Island. So maybe it's an idea for you guys when you eventually are able to travel to be able to buy like this kind of city card. So this is in downtown Reykjavik, and as you see, there's a little bit of snow. There's a little bit of it's a little bit chilly today in Reykjavik. A little bit of snow here on the windowsill. You see the snow blowing. And good morning, John. So let's check it out. So this is not by him. This is a smaller exhibit over here. Good morning, Ruth. So it's like an intro to the museum. Some new thing that they just set up. I was actually thinking about doing a live stream from the area where the supposed volcanic eruption will happen soon, or not. But I think the weather is not the best for that today. So, Sigurhans Vignis. Hi, Alex. Hi, Stabby. So this is called The Silent but Noble Art. And as you said, you worked here as a photographer from 1917 to 1965. Left behind about 40,000 photographs, and many documents, very important things in our past. Hi Roberto, hi Shannon, hi Avalus, hi Kay, and Alex again, I think. This is taken from air in 1946. Oh, sorry, zoom. Okay, 1946, as you see. You can see the school in the bottom left corner. That's called Stýrimannaskólinn, where you learn to work the seas. And the downtown has changed a lot. Hi Maria, all the way from Chile. So yeah, he was a farmer's son, and born and raised on a farm, but all of a sudden he wanted to be a photographer. And the reason was probably that he was visited by there was a farmer close by that got into photography, and he saw his pictures and fell in love. And these pictures over here, these are hand painted. So he had like a shop where you could get portrait photography or wedding photography or stuff like that. But then he was also taking pictures and he was hand painting them. Do you know that waterfall? Do you recognize it? So he hand painted it. He took the photo and then he... So this is Dettifoss. John, earlier we were not... This was not close to downtown. This was a little bit out of town. See some glaciers over here in the fjords. And this, you probably know this one, maybe. So can you imagine he had a brush and then he painted the colors into the photo based on memory. Right you are, Jill, Dettifoss. I see your comments about 40 seconds later, so bear with me if I'm late to answer. So this is from Þingvellir, the national park. Öxará. And the pond. The beautiful, beautiful Ásbyrgi. If you haven't been to the north, I recommend that you note that for your next visit. Go to the north and do the diamond circle. They just opened up the diamond circle. So then you visit Dettifoss, Ásbyrgi, Mývatn, Midge Lake. Hi Helen and Janet from Glasgow, and Shelley from New Brunswick. So recognize that house. So this museum actually has a lot of their photographs in a database, so you can check it out on Borgarsögusafn. I will post a link, but unfortunately you can only search in Icelandic, but you can browse. So hi Nozomi, hi Jean. This waterfall is called Ófærufoss. And once there was this stone bridge over it, but it has fallen since then. Hi Rebecca from Florida. Yes, Kim, the midges in Mývatn, close to the, it's called Mývatn because it's, Mývatn is, translation is Midge Lake because, yeah, there's a lot of midge in the summertime. So maybe you would like to have something to take care of that. So we have been celebrating New Year's with fireworks for a long time. Crazy fireworks. And he obviously has hand painted those also. Hi Ron from sunny Gibraltar. It's not as sunny in Iceland today, unfortunately. There's and Joan from Maryland and Julia from Kuala Lumpur. yeah, there's a little bit of a, I'm not saying blizzard, but windy and snowy. So like we call it not the best weather. Yes, Isla, but your ears and eyes would not be covered, right? Do you remember these bars? Every gym in Iceland had these bars, and you were always supposed to do all kinds of stuff with these bars. He also did a little bit of painting. This is the island of Grímsey. And he painted this also based on the shipwreck of Porcopa. There was a shipwreck here, what was it, 30, 20? A famous researcher. I forgot the story, but yeah, he painted this lovely picture based on that. And one details that are here in the picture. Can you see the army barracks here in the middle? That's 1946. So keep in mind that, you know, I think this is where Harpa is today. This is where there was a coal, like a shipper, so the ships came here and they got coal from this storage coal. Not a coal factory, but just where they loaded the coal onto the ships. So yeah, a whole lot of barracks here in the middle of the. A lot of pictures on development. I recognize this house anywhere. This is Tryggvagata. The museum is just basically on the, is here. And this house. It's open to the public, Karen, but you know, not a lot of people in walking around. It's of course 2 p.m. middle of a weekday. Yes, Kathleen, it's a cool feature. So one thing for you, maybe family people, is that you can, you know, the museum is open free of charge, and you can go there and look at some children's books and stuff, and then check out the photography museum, which is on the 6th floor of the main library, city library. So this is like a kindergarten, but these are like these were playgrounds that you know, a lot of playgrounds started after the Second World War because they needed to keep the children somewhere, and you could pay like there was like a one shed, like similar like something like this, where there was a guardian that would just take care of the children. Maybe there were 40 children inside this kind of a corral. And they were just, you know, the only thing was, this was basically a storage room. Hi Lisa, was coal needed with so much geothermal energy? Coal was, of course, used for ships at the time. You know, for some ships. Hi Magnus and Emma and Shelley. I believe, Shelley, that they have some postcards and stuff from this exhibit. I'll show it to you later on. And yeah, I think they have some collection. But this is a fun photo. If you maybe recognize, this is the Catholic Church over here. And on this corner over here, this is where we went to the Settlement Museum. And this is where this was the oldest graveyard of Reykjavik. Here stood the oldest church. So this is Aðalstræti, the main street where Reykjavik started to be a city, like in 1750. And here in the cellar, not to be found until 1991, is probably the first house of Ingólfur Arnarson, the first settler of Iceland. When they started to build a hotel here on this square here, they came up on this Viking house, a long house here and they preserved it, and now it's the Settlement Museum. And it's also fun to look at this. This was like an orchard from around 1883 or 1884, I think, when Sherbert, the doctor of Iceland, like the what's it called? Like the Landalæknir, the doctor of Iceland. Let's keep that one. So he had an orchard here, and here he planted the oldest tree in Iceland, probably. Well, here is a dark history. I think this is the Dillon house. So here so this is taken in 1950. 1950. And here, this house is now in Árbær Open Air Museum, which I did like a Christmas tour for you, like in around 20th of December. So here in 1952, a pharmacist, sorry for the dark news, but he killed his family with poison. He killed his 2 children and his wife, and poisoned himself. I think it was arsenic. And after that, they decided, okay, we're gonna move the house. It's got a dark history, so they moved this house. It's now like the where they have the cafeteria for Árbær Open Air Museum, and this is a parking lot over here. I just saw news in the newspaper a week ago or something like that. They are calling for the house to be moved back here and put in its original place and restore it, stuff like that. So a little bit of an interesting fact about that. Hi Magnus, podcast. Yes, I've been thinking about it. Maybe something, something that it could be. Maybe do some folklore, or I don't know, something. So he also took photos from the National Theatre, all kinds of events, and so like from all the shows that were taking place in the National Theatre. Yes, Rachel, I think public places, museums and stuff like that, maybe not the most popular places during COVID times. So this is the coal thingy that I was talking about earlier. So they load the coal for some of the boats. But like I showed you earlier, sorry for the fast turn. So here, where Harpa used to standing right now, the coal. So here he wrote the photo, and Sigurhans wrote the British Navy boat lands on 24th of June in it's probably 1940. So just to put that in perspective, maybe I'll see some pictures later on which tell that story better. Okay, I'm gonna tell you that a little bit later. So, frozen Reykjavik Pond, and there is a short track speed skating on the lake around 1950. So as you see, this is pre-Netflix. Everybody gathering around, seeing the people competing. This is where the Reykjavik City Council house is now standing over here in this corner. This is where they are feeding the ducks here in this corner. You can see the National Theatre here, also made by architect, same architect that made the Hallgrímskirkja Church, Guðjón Samúelsson, and also the Catholic Church. You can see the church dome of the Cathedral Church over here. So this is in the Second World War, circa 1941. Here we are celebrating our Icelandic National Day, the 17th of June. This is the hill called the Eagle's Hill, Arnarhóll. This is where we mass together for 17th of June, our National Day, when we were watching the football in 2016 and 2018. There was a massive TV screen over here at the end, and everybody was gathering here by the tens of thousands. Ayla is asking, do they still hold events on the pond when it freezes? Nope, there's no events today. Not that I know of. I know there, of course, the School of Reykjavik, the College of Reykjavik over here. Sometimes they have like football competitions and stuff like that, and they have fun with the pond. We usually see like the kids, 17, 18, 19, running around like a circle around the pool, but there are no events. So here you see the old prison, now the office of the Prime Minister, the National Theatre, museum called Safnahúsið, or the Museum House. I want to go there with you, do a live stream sometime. I'm waiting for some answers about that. So Joan is asking, what does our national holiday commemorate? So our freedom fighter, Jón Sigurðsson, which you can see on Austurvöllur in front of the Parliament. I've shown you him maybe a couple of times. His birthday was on 17th of June. So when we finally gained our independence, which was, where do we have, where did I see the, was it here? No. Sorry, I'm running here looking at the right photo. Okay, I missed it somewhere. But so we gained our independence 1944. We decided to make his birthday, our freedom fighter, the guy that brought us the first constitution. He was influential in Christian Ninth. We were a Danish colony, since Norway, Danish, from 1263 until 1874, when Christian IX, the Danish king, gave us the first set of rules for Iceland, like our own constitution. That was a pretty important thing for us. And Jón Sigurðsson, the freedom fighter, he was influential in pushing forward that we should get this, our own set of rules for So yeah, when we finally gained our independence in 1944, we decided to make his birthday our national holiday, Icelandic National Day. Again, this one taken 17th of June 1950, so people are watching the festivities. 100 years of the College of Reykjavik since on 1946. So the College of Reykjavik, sometimes they say that they date back from 1066, because there's a school at the like a bishopry at Skálholt, and they sometimes say that that school was moved to Reykjavik, and they built. You know, they started here in 1846, but it's a stretch. It's a stretch. Let's say it's from 1846. Some festivities. There was a big thing when a Tivoli, like a Danish-style Tivoli, came to Iceland. That was like a big thing. And there was a pageant. Pageants were a big thing in Iceland, and strongman competitions. Yes, John, just before summer solstice. I doubt we would have chosen his birthday as our Icelandic National Day if it would be in January or February in Iceland. Yeah, fortunately enough, we are pretty low in COVID. There's a little bit of an increase now. There's a little bit of an outbreak. The British version. But fortunately, hopefully, it will be contained. Hopefully, they have been testing, and yesterday there was none to be found COVID infected, but because the British version is very. So yeah, this is of course, this is the foundation of the Republic in 17th of June, 1944. On Thingvellir, of course. You can see the white tents here. I always get a little bit of thrill when I see white tents. This reminds me of the Westman Islands, because this is a very traditional thing around our þjóðhátíð. It's a bit complicated, but Þjóðhátíð is like festivities that are beginning of August each year on the Westman Islands, like a 4-day music festival and a lot of drinking. So here's a little bit of fun picture, because there's a lot of detail in it. So this is from 1st of May 1944, and this is Austurvöllur. Austurvöllur. This is a Lækjargata, the Creek Street from over here, and Austurstræti over here, and and you see the stage is made out of sandbags. So it's made out of sandbags because Second World War, of course, raging on. The US were here as a protection force, or some say occupation force. And maybe if we look real close, we found some soldiers over here. I can spot a police officer at least. Boys playing. See one here doing. Yes, we have it. Some army looking guys overlooking. Do we have the vaccine yet, Joan? Yes, we have. They have started to spread it out, but it's slow. It's slow. Fortunately, I already got COVID, so I should be immune. But it's. Juliana, interesting about your great-grandfather. I think, pictures from 1890s and early 1900s from Reykjavik are just treasure, total treasure. So the first soda cannery of Iceland called Egils. Sneak peek into the lives of course, fishing has been like in the 20th century in Iceland. Fishing was like the thing. Main source of foreign exchange income came from fishing, and everything revolved around fish, sort of. Thank you, Kim. So here you see the Catholic Church. We are over, where are we? We are over here in this house. So you see the sea was closer to the house. There's a landfill of about 150 meters or 100 meters at least further. You can see the houses where the Sea Baron is in. Have you been to a food tour with me in that? Some barracks over here. This is the old Reykjavik harbor. He also took some pictures out of Reykjavik. So there are a couple of like herring seasons in the north, especially in a place called Siglufjörður. So it was like a gold mine thing. So a lot of people went north and were working, salting this herring, and it's called the Síldarævintýri, or the herring adventures. It was basically like a Klondike thing for Iceland. Like a gold rush. So this is from some school, getting a health check. And this is interesting. Looks like the children of Laugarnesskóli are receiving a sun lamp treatment. So they were like going for a sun lamp, and there was like a required thing in schools in 1953. Interesting. So yeah, this is what I was going to talk about earlier. So the Brits occupied Iceland on the 10th of May 1940. In 1940, there came I think about 5,000 British soldiers and basically occupied Iceland. Iceland wanted to be like a nation, not like similar like in Switzerland. We want to be just free of all influence and just a neutral country. But because of the really strategic location of Iceland, and it was considered vital to occupy and save us from Germany. So yeah, but it was a very peaceful occupation because you know, the Brits arrived. A couple of police officers came with them, and they said, "Yeah, we're coming here to occupy Iceland. Can you help?" "Yes, sure." They handed them the keys to everything, and it was like a very peaceful takeover of the country, to say the least. Here, curious locals and British troops at the telecommunications office on 10th of May. So people just were interested, what's going on, and they were just peaceful British troops there. And yeah, interesting. So here it's another picture. British troops arrive at the Reykjavik harbor 10th of May. So he was obviously just when they arrived and taking photos of the occupation. Here's another interesting photo. So there were a lot of Icelanders. They were basically, unable to leave the mainland Europe to go to Iceland. So they were stranded in Europe since basically 1939 to 1945. It wasn't until 9th of July 1945 when this ship over here, Esja, like our mountain, Guardian Mountain, Esja, arrived with people, 300 Icelanders, who had been unable to leave the mainland since the outbreak. So they were coming back to Iceland after 6 years. See some soldiers here overlooking the crowd. I can almost hear them whistling. There's a thing called the situation. I'll tell you more about that later. But it evolves that in Reykjavik at the time were maybe 50,000 people living in Reykjavik total, and when the U.S. Army was here in the country, I think the total of U.S. Army personnel, there were about 50,000 also. So can you imagine? 50,000 guys from the U.S. And if we say 50,000 people in Reykjavik, you can imagine the half of that were women and the dashing looking soldiers in their uniforms. They were hard to compete with for the Icelandic sailors and farmers. But I'm thinking about doing a live stream about the Second World War sometime this spring. So this is our national costume. Very suave. celebrating her 80th birthday over here. So here we have the dancer, the mason, the writer. Do you recognize this guy? The writer? This is Halldór Laxness, the writer of Independent People and our Nobel Prize winner. This is a great artist called Jóhannes S. Kjarval. I'm hoping to take you to his museum sometime soon. Look at some photos, paintings. A captain, sailor, a housewife, a farmer, a nurse, and the sculptor Ásmundur Sveinsson. I've shown you a couple of his photos of his work, but I've shown you a couple of photos, but I want to do a museum tour with him sometime. Joan is asking, I don't see any minorities in the pictures. Has that changed due to the recent influx of refugees in other parts of Europe? Yes, of course. Iceland is a much diverse country than before. Iceland was an isolated country for so many years, and not the best option for many to move to a cold and barren country to the north. So here is a small, I'm trying to focus. So here he's talking about the photos that he used to hand paint. And at the time, at the Laugaveg, like the shopping street, he was, he had his own, like a shop where you could buy his photographs, but then he also rented like a window space in some stores in Laugaveg, the main shopping street. And there he would have like an exhibit, and you could buy his paintings or his photographs.
Ljósmyndasýning Vignis í Austurstræti lætur taka eftir sig og það af honum. Því Sigurhans Vigni á við sjálfum sér mikla litagleði, engu síður mikla vinnugleði. Hinn ólíkustu landslög jökla og bæja og fjallamyndir hafa auðvitað sína sérkynni. Því náttúran nógu rík fyrir hinn eftirtaktarsamt. Það von að þessi merkilegi maður byrjaði sína listanámsbraut sem mánaði en trúði því lítt.
So Joan, just to, if we talk about more about the rising influx of refugees and just, people who come to Iceland, there are a lot of people that are moving just, they love the country, fall in love with it, travel to Iceland, they fall in love with the structure and so yeah, I think it's getting more diverse every year. So do you have any questions for me while we leisurely look at these paintings, photographers painted with color? Here he's talking about and I showed you one picture earlier when the ship Esja arrived and with the with the refugees or the people that who have been stranded in Europe for all the Second World War. So here are more pictures from that shoot. There are not a lot of people that know that, if we use the per capita thing that we so often use, Iceland lost about 250 people in the Second World War, which per capita was a really high number. But it was usually like sailors. There were some ships sunk by German U-boats and stuff like that. Iceland was, of course, not an active participant in, but we provided like a lot of food to Europe, to like fish and stuff like that. So many people say that the Second World War was a really important thing for Icelandic economy. Iceland gained this. Exported like crazy, and of course we gained our independence. Denmark was occupied by Germany at the time, and we used the opportunity of saying goodbye to Denmark in 1944. Caroline is asking, was there US and military from Europe stationed outside of Reykjavik area and are all out now? Yes, there was U.S. force scattered. So there were some to the east, some to the north, but the main force was situated here in Reykjavik. And so Brits occupied 10th of May 1940. The U.S. took over, like the occupation or guardianship, or what you want to call it, in 1941, and stayed here until the end of the war. Then, after the Second World War, there was we went into the Nato Coalition, which is basically most of the countries that in Europe plus the US, this was like a defense mechanism against then communism and the rise of the Soviet nation. And there was an army base here from 1949, if I remember it correctly, until 2005. So now there's no army base in Iceland, but there is some NATO exercises, and there are some NATO flights, like squadrons that fly and look over Icelandic aerospace and stuff like that. But there's no base in Iceland today. It's interesting to see, Grandi, maybe if you see that here in this photo. So the Grandi area. So it was just a small, thin layer of. Patricia is asking, I was told that Iceland has the oldest parliament. Can you confirm this? Patricia, yes and no. So, we established the first parliament 930. That's undoubtable. We were the only country in Europe at the time that ruled ourselves. We're not ruled by some kind of monarch or dictator. But when we were, after we were colonized and we had our own parliament structure, but we didn't rule, at least for some some periods we didn't rule ourselves. So it's debatable if we had our own parliaments and ruling our own selves. It's, I would not say. Sometimes I say it, but sometimes not. Hi Rita, when did the US come into Iceland? How long did they stay? They stayed from 1941 till I think it was 1946-ish. But there was also they left some forces, and then they established a formal army base in Keflavik. The international airport is of course made by the US Army base. Keflavik airport was the origins of that airport were made by the US Army. Patricia, if you have a quiz, does Iceland have the oldest parliament in the world? I would say yes. But as I said, it's debatable. So before we end this, I want to show you the gift store or gift shop. I don't remember who was asking me about the prints, if you can buy prints. So here are some prints from the show or from the exhibit. Postcards, stuff like that. You're hearing recordings, George, and people just chatting about the exhibit. Do you know where this is? You should know where this is, right? I've talked about that a couple of times. There's also some interactivity. You can also just check out here some exhibits from the this is the old swimming pools at Laugardalur, the hot spring valley that I've my favorite swimming pool. The old swimming pool at Reykjavik. Yeah, you get the picture. Bingo, Kate. Hey, my hometown. So hi guys. So just want to thank you again for another interesting life walk with me. We're gonna try out some candy on Sunday. I would love some ideas from you. I have plenty. I think I'll have to run even more next week if I'm gonna eat all the candy that you've proposed for me to check out. And then we're have the Witch Museum next week also. Anna from the Witch Museum of the Sorcery and Witch Museum is gonna have a chat with us. And then we may be going Northern Light hunting next week. And Golden Circle, no, that's not next weekend. What's next weekend? I forget. But takk fyrir mig. Sjáumst á laugardaginn eða sundaginn. Bless. Takk.